Well, a few pointers to what it is that we're talking about this morning. You saw the statement there from former Rector of Cross River State, right there on your screen, Mr. Mikey Guinea, talking about how we're seeing increasingly, is it a disenchantment, or should we describe it as a lack of interest generally in the political process? People like to follow the news, but the question is, do they realize that they have a civic responsibility to participate, especially those who are of voting age, those who are 18 years and above? Do they realize that they have a responsibility to participate in our democratic process? I mean, it's part of strengthening our democratic process. We're speaking with Mr. Michael Mary, who is the former Director General of the National Orientation Agency. It's good to see you again, former DG.
Thank you so much for...
I was just commenting as to how you look much more rested than when you were in office.
Thank you. Multiple issues are not there anymore to face.
Well, the issues are still there,
yeah,
but they're no longer your responsibility.
Yes.
I was just wondering, I mean, have you had time to introspect even further? I mean, I'm sure that you must have thought about your work at the NOA while you were there, and maybe, you know, some of the issues we're still facing as a people afterwards. And, you know, have you had time to be able to, shall I say, distill what you think some of the primary problems are, and perhaps what could be better done as solutions?
Well, it is true. I have had reason to look back. I have also had reason to discuss with my successor in office and the staff. And we found that the challenge of sustaining the effort of national orientation is basically a great problem, a great challenge to not just the institution, but even the recipients of the messages. Because once there is discontinuity in communicating messages with an attempt, with a view, with a desire to achieve behavioral change or behavioral modification, you will need sustained communication. And it takes the interest of government, it takes the interest of officials, charged with that responsibility to ensure that they deliver on it. Now, the National Orientation Agency, fitted as it were, with all the trained staff, with all the capacities and spread, needed to be sustained continually in terms of budget provision. The mandate of the agency is very robust, one of the largest agencies in terms of government responsibility and governance responsibility in this country. But faced with the challenge of even resources to do the work, I mean financial resources to do the work, they are constrained within a box to deliver only very limited on the mandate of the agency. And that cannot, lead us to achieving the desired goals. National guidance is a priority of government, should be a priority of government, and that is the charge in the NOA. A number of countries, developed countries, have these agencies, whether it's China or America and so forth. They do that. They come by different names, but they are charged to ensure the acculturation of citizens to behaving towards, supporting government to deliver. And as citizens support government, they are invariably supporting themselves. And so you build institutions so government become responsible by also, implementing certain key programs that takes off the burden of responsibility from citizens. So they are, because we now know that there are certain basic duties of government and there are basic duties of citizens. Now, when citizens begin to perform the role of government, it negates the principle of governance, of government itself in totality. And so the National Orientation Agency, as it is not to be tucked within a ministry in one corner, not relevant, not given the chance to deliver, not given the chance to participate, not even having access to the budget it desires to do the work. It's a major challenge.
Okay, so I mean, a few things that you have said right now in terms of, I noted the fact that you say you've been speaking with your successor in office, and I think that's heartwarming, considering the fact that you worked for, two different administrations. I mean, two different political parties in power. I mean, it's good to know that there is some continuity and that the challenges are things that you share. I mean, you appreciate the challenges that he's currently facing in office. But I'm wondering, how would you say the level of education has also affected the work that the NOA has to do? I mean, the general decadence we're seeing in education and educational institutions, how is it affected also the work that you think that the NOA has on its hands?
I don't even, well, as far as, as per our relationship with the DG, it doesn't matter, it's about our country, so we have to serve it. It doesn't matter whether we're in PDP or APC or whatever. Getting people, citizens, to do the right thing is not about going to school. It's not English. It's not mathematics. It's about morals. What we teach society in terms of the values we have, therefore the values we should share, uphold, and spread. It doesn't have anything to do with our education. It has so much to do with the effort to ensure that we uphold the values, whether at the societal level, if traditional institutions, for instance, will give us the values of our system, of their system there, that upheld society and people and citizens. They have conducted themselves invariably very well before education. So if that is the definition of education you're talking about, I agree. But we don't have to go to four walls of a classroom to learn values. These are in our homes. These are in the institutions that are there. Now, maybe there is the challenge of not just education now. The needs of society have changed. People want to have a lot of money without working for it. People want firm without toiling for it. There has to be adequate reward and appropriate punishment. When you don't have it, then you have the wrong morals, and then you uphold those vices as values. Then you just lose the thrust of society. That is what I see. It's not more of education, but more of the values we hand down and what we honor, we respect and uphold in our societies. That will give us the kind of progress we want to see.
Let me send this to Lagos now, gentlemen and lady.
Let's thank you, Marco. Dr. Mary, perhaps you want to speak to certain peculiarities, because when Marco was asking you about, your thoughts about how it was, working as Director General of NOA, there are many who reference NOA as a successor program to MAMSA. And there are those who are asking, perhaps you want to speak to the peculiarities that there may be in the different parts of the country, maybe peculiarities in Enugu State compared to Oyo State, compared to Taraba State. Are there peculiarities in different states or different regions of Nigeria when it comes to national orientation?
In fact, let's go even further away from MAMSA, and good to see you too again. MAMSA, there were other agencies before MAMSA. If you remember, we had the Ministry for National Guidance. We have something to do with ethical revolution in the past. All of these are meant to create a national culture that will help or aid the movement of this society that we have from ignorance to some form of commonality of appreciation of not just the issues that we have, but that we need to pool our energies to it, in order to succeed. Now, there are peculiarities, of course, in this nation, and that is why the National Orientation Agency is in all the states of the Federation, is in all the local government areas of the nation. And so whatever message you have to deliver, once you agree that, look, you need to implement it nationally, the respective state offices of the National Orientation Agency would, process it, into communicative, interpretative messages for the use of their local communities. Now, in doing this, the hope is that we can have a common kind of behavior going around, but approached or impacted according to the peculiarities of each of these communities. Let me give you an example. When I was in NOA, I went to Enugu and had a meeting with a lot of members of the IPOB. And that was, to their confession, the first time that government came to talk to them. Now, we wanted to create a culture of peace. And we started a program across the country. We were in Jos. We had meetings with the people in Jos that were having the chorus then. We brought them together and made a commitment, extracted a commitment from them to live in peace. It was fantastic. So the approach in Enugu or in the southeast needed to reflect, the peculiarity of the situation there. So when we were in Jos, we had it in the town hall. In Enugu, we had it in the palace of the Igwe Naji. I remember that very well. And we had security agencies and everybody, including IPOB members, joining us to participate. It was revealing. The reports are there. We made reports to government about the demands of these people. So if you go to Sokoto, it will be a different thing, because it may not be resource control, it may not be opportunities in government, it may just be that they need access to their farms, maybe insecurity or access to farm inputs that could create a behavioral challenge there. So you address it, work with the people to see how they can locally create their own input or participate or give in to supporting basic institutions that will assist them to achieve the kind of the kind of plans, the kind of milestones they have set for themselves. So I agree with you that messaging should be peculiar, but we should have a core strategic objective of our message, and we have key deliverables. The core strategic objective should be towards building a national culture, towards knowing that the person in Sokoto knows that is a Nigerian who lives in Taraba, and that Taraba is Nigeria. So whatever you are doing in Sokoto affects the one in Taraba. If you are growing food in Kano, know that someone in Enugu buys it. If you are, whatever you are doing in any part of the country, there has to be a national linkage to ensuring that we see ourselves as Nigerians first and foremost than any other.
Well, still speaking to that issue that you raised, you spoke about morals being superior to any other sentiments that should help us to fortify the unity of Nigeria. And of course, you would agree with me that there are morals. Africans are very strong on morals and all of that. So I'm just wondering if there are ways in which our sentiments supersede the unity purpose that the NOA is supposed to be championing, because there are those who look at ethical, ethnic sentiments, geographical sentiments, religious sentiments, and all of those things, which seem to supersede the effort to unify Nigeria. And most certainly, many people consider NOA very, very pivotal in this, especially with all the previous programs that you have talked about. So the question that will be coming to my mind is, if these things are that important to us as a nation, and with the challenges that NOA is having, as you have said, is that to say that government is not interested when the funding to achieve what government wants to achieve is not there?
Yes, because the purpose of government, having been defined in the Constitution of Nigeria, also need to be appreciated and understood by those who enter government services. You see, the nation, Nigeria, when you have sentiments of religion and region and tribe superseding national consideration, there must be someone who is inducing it for personal self-interest. And they could be a group, they could be even within the system of tribe, religion, and so forth. Now, why would, for instance, our clergymen, who know very well that humanity is the basis of religion, because without humanity, then who will practice religion? So why would our clergymen, whether they are Christians or Muslims or wherever or whoever, not begin to teach us the values of that religion that upholds humanity first? Why would we have in some of our churches and mosques preachers and clergymen talk to us about the differences that we must uphold, even in choice of leadership, in the way we relate to each other? Some people are guilty of doing that, and government is not doing anything about it as an institution that should check and safeguard the sanctity of thought in our society. So we need, without really bringing religion into governance, we need to also have a process that trains people, whether it is Islamic or Christian, you know, and the NOA particularly may even be called upon to begin to license some of these people so that they are schooled in the values that the nation upholds, in addition to what they have learned or they are teaching their followers, so that when they go out there, they should teach their religion, but they should also teach the values of this country. The values of this country are based in our society. They are societal based. You cannot take it out. I may be a Muslim from Kiana in Nasarawa State, all right? Now, there are certain values I grew up with. So no matter what you do with your Islamic teaching, it may be difficult for me to pluck that out, my Alagoness from Kiana out of me. I may be a Christian from Sokoto. There are certain values that I have learned in Sokoto or in my small community there that it would be difficult for Christianity to pluck out of me. But there are certain basic things that we can learn. And learning that humanity transcends the sphere or circumference of our living. That we have people who live elsewhere we interact with, and there are basis for interaction. And this you can find even in the religion. But let the agencies of government, let national institutions extract most of these things and project them in order to teach the values that will grant us, you know, the kind of unity of purpose that this nation sorely desires at the moment.
Dr. Mary, before we even begin to look at religion and licensing, you know, practitioners, which I imagine would be at the level of, at a deeper level of thought, let's look at, you know, national guidance, which is what you began to talk about in the first place. And I'd like to take this to, you know, what would be the core mandate of the National Orientation Agency. If you check the website, it talks about promoting patriotism, providing national guidance, and what's the other one now? Development of the Nigerian society. And the motto says, do the right thing, transform Nigeria. And I had to ask a number of people if they even knew the motto of the National Orientation Agency, do the right thing, transform Nigeria. And it was until I, you know, related it with them that they knew that that National Orientation Agency even had that motto in the first place. So let's be sure that the National Orientation Agency understands, you know, the core mandate in the first place. It's in the business of persuasion. If the average Nigerian youth, you know, would like to, is in pursuit of the Canadian visa, is not patriotic to the country, why the disconnect between the National Orientation Agency and the average Nigerian youth in promoting patriotism?
Thank you. You see, you touched something that that elicited some emotions to me, in me. First, the mantra or the slogan that you said, do the right thing, was initiated by me when I first came to the agency in 2012. And why did we do that? We sampled opinion. We did a little polling and saw that every Nigerian is talking about the right thing. Why can't they do the right thing? They should do the right thing. So we now said, well, okay. So let us take from the people what they want. And what they want is doing the right thing. So we said, okay, NOA, do the right thing, transform Nigeria should be it. So because we also realized that if we do the right things, there will be minimal, conflict with our behavior, with our approach to issues and social relations and so forth and so on. Now, the core mandate of the agency, like I said, if you look at the agency, there are about 18 or more provisions in its mandate in dealing with people and institutions of government. Chiefly of which the one I like most is the ability to bring feedback to government. And in bringing feedback to government, when I was there, we made sure that no I or T, nothing was crossed. We gave it raw, as it were, so that the government, the president, knew the price of Gari, he knew who slapped who, he knew the new big man in town, and so forth and so on. That helps planning and also assist, not just security, most of the agencies to understand that, look, in reality, certain things are happening, either effect of government or effect of natural causes and so forth and so on. So now the NOA, once the NOA is in possession of such information, it should be able to provide the basis or the structure for national guidance, so that citizens, are persuaded, like you said the word, are persuaded to do the right things in terms of what is provided for in the Constitution, what is defined as the concept of good governance, what society wants to achieve for itself, and so forth and so on. So we now, are able to bring all of these key variables into our planning process, so that annually, if we plan this year, for instance, that the major campaign is for Nigerians to understand themselves that, look, let us know that we have a history, even though we came from somewhere, but we have a history that we need to know. And so Nigeria and its budget and everything will be towards that. If we know that as diverse as we are, there are talents, there are skills and knowledge in the various cultures, let us take a particular period in our time, in our life as a nation, to bring those things up and teach Nigerians. So we know what happens here, there, and everywhere. That way, we begin to appreciate how people behave or why people behave the way they do when they do so. I think that is my idea and understanding of the concept of national culture or national guidance that is there. In China, for instance, I hate to make examples of those, they even decide how many people became Christians or Muslims at a particular time. They have been able to make every citizen of China to collect the last dollar you have in your hand once you go there, once you go to China. Not because they want to dupe you, but they want the economy, they want the inflow. So how are we doing that? You can see in terms of service that they give. Once it comes to their country, or most of these people, they are first and foremost citizens of those countries. And the country takes certain responsibility and burden of them. Here, in the UK, for instance, and I hate to make these examples when my country can do even better. Children between the ages of 9, or school children, up to 15 years or so, or 11 or 15 years, don't pay for buses. Here, you don't even see the buses. If you enter any public transport, you pay as an adult. You go to eat in the restaurant, there is you don't pay with the children pay at a particular age, pay half the cost of the meals, because government ensures that they are giving you something right from the cradle. So when you go up, you know that certain care has been extended to you as you grow up. But here, everything, the adults, we are suffering the same. We are all packed together into a box and have the same challenges from our birth.
So let me quickly ask you, because you've made reference to how, our values, it's more about values, not really about educational problem that we have. Even though I also saw that the question that Buki was asking was about patriotism and how it would seem that there is the linkage between the work that the NOA is doing and maybe how many young Nigerians feel about their country today. I think you've also touched on that in terms of how the country itself is not exactly doing much in terms of, making sure that young people feel that from a very early age, that there is a feeling towards them. But let me ask you, because the entire country is still in distress over what happened in Sokoto, and there are those who are wondering if we'll ever, come to a place whereby, we're not susceptible to the actions of a mob. And that is, be it in Sokoto, be it in wherever it is in the country, whatever it is that touches on what we consider, that we're patient enough to go through the legal process and not be driven by emotion at that time. Do you think that it's something that the NOA can take on?
Yes, the NOA can take. The NOA is just a small part of an institution. It can discharge its own duties. We have a legal process that will take forever and then get lost, because every day you see a new issue in this country that demands and challenges your time and attention. So every issue supersedes the other one because it just happened today, not because it is worse than the last one. So what we need is, if there is a court process, the judicial institution that will deal with these people, let it deal with it expeditiously. Let citizens see the benefit. Let the citizens see the benefit of the system. If they don't see it, there is little work that NOA can do. So if a case in the police station is a police case, let the police take charge of this case honorably, dutifully, and to the benefit and satisfaction of both parties. Because the process, the law is there. If the mob in Kano or Sokoto or Maiduguri or anywhere else behaves the way and 2-3 people are arrested, let them be dealt with. Let the full weight of the law be visited on them. If that happens, you would see that the NOA will be able to tell Nigerians that, look, these are the consequences. You can give examples of what the failure of the act or behavior of an individual and the consequences to his life and so forth and so on. But we don't have it. So there is deficit of trust even in government institutions. So, and that is beginning to affect the NOA. Because if the NOA comes with the correct messaging, people say, are you Sabi now? We started, there was something we did. Last night, my daughter Charlie brought a book. We published a small pamphlet that we distributed in school. So she saw it in school. My picture is there. The school gave her to come and show, this is your father. In the book, we said, my little white green book. And in it, we explained these things, the morals, brought in the heroes of Nigeria, explained so many other things. And I remember when we said, wave your flag, be proud, put your flag. Where is your flag here in the studio? We should promote these things. Now, when I say wave your flag, somebody said, leave him. It's because he's in government now. That is it. I still have a flag in my house. I fly it there. And so if there is benefit, I will uphold the flag. But I can't relate with government. There is fuel shortage everywhere. Nobody is talking to us in the manner that we will understand and sympathize with government in order to support it, to find a solution. You understand? And apart from that, in fact, look, for patriotism comes with benefit. No doubt about it. So you cannot be patriotism is an extreme state of love for one's country. But in doing that, the country must also show that it relates and feels your pains, your effort, and appreciates your effort. So there are certain basic burden that it should take off for you. But if it is not there, you are always paying everyday tax. This one, if you live in Abuja, is terrible. So if they say set up a business, you're a businessman, you set up a business today, small scale, very tiny business, all the agencies of government will come to collect one form of fee or tax from you. If you don't, they shut you down. Instead of saying, okay, let's put you on a plan. You can pay and redeem from that. No, they will come shut you down. So what are we doing? We are not helping to build patriotism here. We are not helping to encourage the young people, because these are the small industries you set up that will absorb these young people. Now you are shutting it down because the owner, the founder of the business is not able to pay all these fees. Why wouldn't I go to Canada or other places? These are the issues.
Big question. As I did say at the start of this conversation, the issues remain. It's just that right now you're no longer in charge of the NOA. But we have to thank you so much. We understand that you're going to the Senate, or you're planning.
I'm aspiring to go to the Senate.
Okay. So all the best in your ambition.
Thank you. And why I do that is because I feel we should have a legislative agenda that will organize society. If that is the only thing we can achieve, I think I would have left something for this country.
Well, Mr. Michael Mary is the former Director General of the National Orientation Agency, has been speaking to us here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Mopi, for having me, and thank you to the crew in the studio. It's good to see you again.
Okay.